That's the person who gets you there safely. The one we all just trust. Every passenger needs a great pilot. He does. She does. They do. They might not say it, but when they need to get somewhere safely, that's their hero. Because pilots know what these switches do. They care about things like flaps. They know what all this means. They know how to move this thing that moves this, that causes this to happen so smoothly. But pilots are human. What if it's not their day? What if they're under the weather? What if, for some reason, they just can't? Well, in the Cirrus SR series, in the rare case a pilot is ever unable, now passengers can land the plane. Not like this, but familiar. Like this. Like this.
Emergency Autoland activating.
Your airplane will now navigate to and land at the safest nearby airport. The system has already communicated to air traffic control personnel, who will continue tracking you.
Pilots are there for passengers, but now in the SR series, passengers can be there for pilots, just in case.
You'll arrive at your destination shortly.
Emergency auto landing in 7 minutes on runway 3 at Kilo Delta Romeo Oscar.
From the global leader in personal aviation,
Your airplane is now maneuvering onto its final approach.
introducing the Cirrus SR Series G7 Plus. Standard with Safe Return Emergency Autoland. Now anyone can land a Cirrus with the touch of a button.
Wait for the airplane and propeller to come to a complete stop before exiting.
In a Cirrus, safety is always in reach.
Okay, welcome aboard. Here we are, engine start in the SR. I am with one of my best ever flying pals, Ivy MacGyver, Executive Director of the SR product line here at Cirrus, and she's one of very, very few rated demo pilots to be able to demonstrate the SR series Safe Return Emergency Autoland system. In my weaker moments, Ivy, to me this whole thing feels like magic, but you're going to kind of, what's the plan today? You're going to show us what's up.
It's not magic, it's engineering. So I'm happy to be here, Anthony, with my experimental demo plane. It's basically an SR-22 that's equipped with demo software to enable me to show you exactly what happens when you actually hit the Safe Return button that's in the ceiling panel.
Because if anything, to finish off this course of training for the Emergency Autoland system, really what we're doing here is, again, like many safety features on the Cirrus, it's a feature we rarely would expect anybody to have to use, but it's beautiful to know that it's there, and more importantly, we're going to finish off this course of training so that you can get a demonstration for exactly what this would look like and what you would see and what your passengers would see and hear and what to expect in the incredibly rare case that you would need to use it.
Yeah,
right?
it's an exceptional technology that we have been working very hard to bring to the piston airplane. Obviously, Safe Return or Emergency Autoland is on several airframes out there, but this is the first time that anyone's brought it to a piston aircraft.
And by the way, to really take you along for a ride, this huge camera you see over my shoulder, well, behind that camera is our producer on the Cirrus media team, Paul, and he is ready to get you views of everything looking forward, so you can really get a sense for what's going on the screens when we actually do hit the button. Paul, you feeling good?
Ready to go.
I love it. That means Cirrus flyers follow along, and this is going to be a really special demo. You ready to fly?
Let's do it.
Here we go. Caps available.
All right, so here we are. We're about 12 or 15 miles from Muscle Shoals.
Yep.
And I think we're ready to go ahead and activate Safe Return.
Oh, boy.
I'm just hand flying the airplane, so you can feel free to activate the system whenever you're ready.
This is momentous.
It is.
I'm pushing red. Paul, are you going to push it or I push it?
Go for it.
All righty. Here we go, the big red button. You ready?
Ready. All right, so Emergency Autoland has been activated. The autopilot is in level mode, and it's giving us a warning, and it's activating.
My first question, though, what if that was my kid in the back seat and that was inadvertent? What if I didn't want to?
All I do is disconnect the autopilot disconnect.
Really?
The autopilot disconnect mode.
So just like any other autopilot disconnect, that'll kick the system off and we're good.
Just like if you hit the level button by mistake or you did whatever.
Yeah.
All I got to do is hit the autopilot disconnect button. You basically have a 10-second window where you're hearing an oral alert.
Like where it's getting ready to go?
Emergency Autoland is activated.
Okay.
You're getting a red warning pass or a crew alert on the PFD, which is telling you that Emergency Autoland has been activated.
Okay.
And the only thing that the system actually does when the red button is hit is it engages the autopilot in level mode.
Okay, but it's not like going into its
It's not
sequence.
going anywhere. It's just going into level mode. And what that enables you to do is you have a 10-second period where if you hit it accidentally or bumped it or your kid hits it or whatever that happens, you can hit the autopilot disconnect button and everything goes back to normal. You don't have to readjust your flight plan or reset up your flight or anything. It just goes back to you're now hand flying and you can engage the autopilot.
So is it still possible to disconnect after the 10 seconds?
Absolutely. Let's say you missed the window and Safe Return has sequenced into the activation sequence where it's taken over, it's starting to go through the algorithm. You can deactivate it at any point in the sequence, but I'll kind of walk you through what it looks like when you actually hit the autopilot disconnect button.
Okay. You want me to set that up?
I'm ready for you to hit the button at any time.
Paul, how about you get to push the red button for this inadvertent?
Oh, fun.
Here we go.
Oops, inadvertent press.
Emergency.
All right, so you've got this 10-second window where it gives you an oral alert, it gives you a visual alert.
The Safe Return Emergency Autoland system is now controlling your airplane.
Okay, so now the Emergency Autoland Safe Return system has been activated.
Okay.
It turns your screens into very simple screens. Now, for this demo purpose, I actually have one GTC that I can control because it's not broadcasting out to ATC in the demo software, but in the real world it would be.
Yeah.
So at this point, in the real world, you would be squawking 7700, it would be broadcasting to ATC, it would be running through the algorithm deciding on where the airport is, and you can see here.
It's already starting to line up.
It's already chosen. Muscle Shoals is the right airport. We're going to be landing in 7 minutes. But if we realize, I hit it by accident, I can go ahead and hit the autopilot disconnect button.
So it's still just a regular autopilot disconnect.
I basically have just disconnected the autopilot. I'm now hand flying.
Okay.
This screen will turn to the sort of inadvertent deactivation screen. Are you sure you meant to deactivate it? This is what you need to do to reactivate it. But as a pilot, knowing that I have inadvertently activated it, I'm just going to pull up my checklist.
Oh, and it starts with the checklist right there.
It actually shows you this Emergency Autoland activating warning. So if you've done it and you didn't mean to do it.
So this is how to clean up, essentially, with a checklist.
This is how to clean, this is how to get yourself reset up to you flying the plane versus safe return.
You're
flying.
probably still filling out some paperwork when you get on the ground to let them know why they got an emergency indication,
Yep.
right, a 7700, but
Absolutely.
at least we're cleaning things up now.
Yeah, so we're basically, I just hit the autopilot disconnect button. I need to reset the transponder because it would have been squawking 7700.
Right.
So I'm just making sure that I'm squawking 1200.
1200.
Great. I basically set up my FMS. So right now it kills my flight plan.
Oh, yeah.
So if I want to go to Muscle Shoals, I actually have to tell it where my destination is.
Yeah.
So, yep,
Okay.
I've reset up my
So
flight
you're just
plan.
rebuilding the flight
Just
plan.
rebuilding
No
my
big deal.
flight plan. I need to reset the altimeter because it actually automatically adjusts the altimeter based on the surrounding area.
Yeah.
So
Altimeter 3001.
at 3001, I'll just adjust that altimeter. And then if we're far enough along in the sequence where it has deployed the
Yep.
flaps, it will actually deploy the flaps to 50%, and I'll kind of talk us through that
Yep.
when we take it through the whole sequence. But if you're far enough into the activation, you'll need to bring the flaps to wherever you want them,
sure.
right? So either you'll bring them up to 0 or leave them at 50.
Oh, there you go. So for some reason we think maybe it had activated on its own?
Yeah, so there is provisions in the checklist if for some reason Safe Return was activated and you didn't activate it.
Yep.
So there is a circuit breaker that you would pull.
Okay. That makes sense. So
Yeah.
once you've done that checklist, we're cleaned up and we're back in
We're
normal
cleaned
flying.
up and we're ready to go back to our normally scheduled program.
Now that having been said, is it time for the full demonstration? Will we be able to do a full one?
I think it's time. So I'd say whenever you guys are ready.
Paul, you ready for this?
Ready.
Here's the real push. Here we go.
Emergency Autoland activating.
Okay.
Emergency Autoland.
So it's giving me warning
activating.
passes everywhere.
Emergency Autoland
It's just like
activating.
window.
Okay, 10-second window.
Safe Return Emergency Autoland system is now controlling your airplane.
I'm getting indications as a passenger to stay off the controls.
Your airplane will now
So
navigate
basically it's
to
going
and
through
land
its
at the
activation
safest nearby
sequence.
airport.
Right now it's running through the calculation to figure out where we need to go
So
and
it
how
just
it needs
found-
to route us. And now it's saying Muscle Shoals is the most appropriate, closest airport, given the weather for the day, given the terrain, given how far we are from
Yeah.
airports in general, given the airports that are in close proximity, the length of the runway, the width of the runway, all that sort of thing. And it's identified Muscle Shoals as a very appropriate airport.
And
for
so
us
it
to
just
go.
went into a full 30-degree bank there, descending 30-degree bank to line us up. I mean, that was an aggressive but very controlled turn.
Yeah,
That's what
and
that felt
so
like.
it's basically, it's not going to fly in any sort of very aggressive manner.
Yep.
But, you know, it's an emergency system, and the goal of that system is to get the occupants of the airplane down to the ground safely as soon as possible
And-
and efficiently as possible.
And honestly, what I can't ignore at this point is on our SR series right now, we essentially have this auto throttle, and it is going forward and backwards, and it's a little bumpy, right? So it's adjusting power.
Absolutely.
For the
So
bumps.
what we have a servo on the mixture, we've got a servo on the throttle.
Yep.
And those servos are working with the software to adjust the mixture and adjust the power to basically hold roughly about 150, 160, 165 knots around there in cruise.
Okay.
And basically we're sort of in the cruise phase
Okay.
of the Autoland sequence. So we're landing in 6 minutes. It's going to tell us, hey, we're about to turn right. So
Okay.
don't be alarmed when the right wing dips. We're going to turn right. We're going to turn right now.
Says we're going to be descending for 2 minutes.
Yep.
Like if I'm a passenger, this is all plain English and it makes sense.
Exactly.
And
So very simple terms.
it's talking to normal
It's
people.
talking in normal layman
Yeah.
terms to keep everyone calm and everyone knowledgeable into the sequence of events.
Yep.
So here's our speed.
Yep.
Here's our altitude. We're going to descend for a minute.
Okay.
We're 10 miles from the airport. We've got a ton of fuel. We've got 2.1 hours of fuel. We're going to be landing in 5 minutes. If you want to talk to air traffic control, this is what you need to do. But right now, there's no action required from you.
Yeah.
All you need to do is just sit and wait. The airplane has taken over control. Everything is very safe.
And this is a big, obvious microphone button. So This is basically hardwiring us to 21.5, I
Yep.
would assume, right? So any passenger that touches that microphone button, they're talking to the right people.
That's exactly right. So in a real world scenario, we would be squawking emergency. It
Yep.
would be broadcasting to ATC that we're declaring an emergency.
Yep.
It's going to broadcast on emergency frequency. It's going to broadcast on the local CTAF or tower.
Yep.
Now we are just about to configure
This is
for landing.
amazing.
So what you'll watch, what you'll see is the airplane slows down. We're approaching the runway. The flaps go down to 50%.
Wow.
And at
Plane
this
is now
point, we
maneuvering
are
onto
committed
its
to
final
land.
approach.
So we're not going
The
to,
emergency
it's not
auto
going
land system
to
will continue
fly
to
around
control your
anymore. We have
airplane down to the safe,
transitioned from the cruise
controlled
phase
landing on the runway.
into the landing phase, and
Please
it's
ensure
going to
your
go through
seatbelt is securely fastened,
instructions
and that all
for
loose items
preparing
are
to
stowed
land.
prior to
Yeah.
landing.
And I'll tell you,
We'll
I mean,
arrive at your
again, it's a
destination
pretty
shortly.
turbulent day down here in Muscle
It is.
Shoals today, but the airplane is handling it amazingly well, and I'm just blown away by the precision here of the power coming back and forth to basically hold us right at 100 knots.
Yeah, we're going to basically look for about 95
Okay.
knots on this kind of final approach. We're
Yep.
6 miles from landing.
And so the other thing I think, well, flaps are 50, and it's not going to go more than 50. Now, I'm sure part of the logic there has to do with icing conditions,
That's
right?
correct. Yes. So it's going to assume that you are contaminated. So
Right.
you are, it doesn't know what weather you've flown in.
Yep.
It's basically configuring your airplane for the absolute safest scenario possible.
Yep.
So it actually will turn on the ice protection system
Okay.
if it's below 5 degrees C, and it will only deploy the flaps to 50%.
Excellent. Excellent.
So now we're just coming in at a 50% flaps landing. It's broadcasting to ATC. It's squawking emergency. It's notifying the authorities that
Yep.
you have declared an emergency. But it's keeping everyone in the airplane advised of what's going on. We're 4 miles from the airport.
Yep.
We're landing in 3 minutes. There's nothing you need to do. It's just keeping us in a very safe flight envelope.
Yep. And I keep watching, I keep coming back to this, but in the turbulence, I watch as the airspeed even barely ticks below 95, immediately the power comes in, the nose
Yep.
pitches up, and it kind of regains where it wants to be. I mean, it is on the money with those airspeed variabilities with the turbulence.
Yeah,
Pretty
absolutely.
amazing.
And what you'll notice is the flaps lever didn't move.
All right.
But the flaps went down.
Yep.
When we land and the engine shuts down, the boost pump will go off, but the switch doesn't go off. And
Yeah.
that's all part of if I was to deactivate the system and hit autopilot disconnect right now,
Yeah.
I would get a flaps disagree because
Okay.
the flaps lever is at 0, but the flaps are at 50%.
Gotcha.
So it's just a little bit of cleanup.
And
a little bit of paperwork that you'll need to do.
And I didn't watch or notice, but the mixture is full rich, and we were not rich when we started,
That's
so it
correct.
obviously did that,
Yep,
and it'll actually move that mixture all the way back
It
when we
sure
cut
will.
on the
Yeah, so watch this space after we land.
Yeah.
It basically, we'll land, we'll start to roll out, the flaps will retract,
Yeah.
and when the flaps are retracted, it will automatically apply the brakes in a nice, even,
Yeah.
reasonably aggressive manner. And then once we're below 5 knots or we're, close to stopping, then you'll see the mixture come back.
We are short final. We're about to do a full emergency Autoland in a Cirrus airplane,
Yep.
in a Cirrus SR series. And look at how perfectly lined up we are here.
All right, so I'm just going to kind of be close.
Guard the controls.
Yep.
For safety.
For safety.
Thank you.
Just being here just in case.
And I will stay out of the way of the controls.
That sounds great. So I'm not going to touch the controls. We're, a little bit high. It's actually aiming for the 1,000-footers. It's
Yep.
just doing a very safe half flaps landing.
Yeah, we're nice
We're
and high,
lined
nice
up.
and fast.
Lined up for the center line. Now you're going to see the throttle come all the way back.
Yep.
We'll see the airplane fly the flare.
The radar altimeter's looking.
It's looking. We're flying that flare.
Wow.
Beautiful.
Look at that.
All right, so now we're on the runway. You'll look out there. The flaps will start to come up. It's actually holding the direction
Yep.
of the runway.
Wow. So we touched
Now
down a
the
little bit
flaps are-
right, but it's coming back.
Yep. It applies the brakes. Once we come to a full stop. Now I haven't touched
You didn't
anything.
touch it?
I'm not touching
I didn't
anything.
either.
Not touching. So the power has come all the way back. The airplane's at a complete stop now. You'll see the mixture start to come
There
back.
goes the mixture. Wow.
And as the mixture comes back, the boost pump is now off, even though the switch is on.
Sure.
Boost pump is off. Engine comes to a stop. instructions come up on the
Wait for the
screen.
airplane and propeller to come to a
show
complete
you-
stop before exiting.
Basically, how to exit the airplane safely.
That is next level. I mean,
To exit,
it
lift
touched
the
down
handle
slightly
on
right,
either of the
came
2
back to
cabin
center
door
line,
armrests
everything
and push the
incredibly
door
controlled.
out.
I can't believe that.
Yep, it's pretty amazing.
Ivy, my friend, you are now maybe my best flying pal ever.
That's pretty incredible, isn't it?
Thank you so much. Here we are on the runway in Muscle Shoals. Prop is stopped. We were safely led to the ground. No drama at all, and we just had a fully automated landing.
Yeah, so now I've just basically set the plane up for kind of normal flight now. The flaps are up, and the switch is up. The boost pump is on, and it's come back on now.
Okay.
I brought the mixture up. I basically, there's a brake reset button. So I disconnected. The first thing you do after a stop to get the airplane off the runway is you hit the autopilot disconnect button. That disconnects the system. And then there's a brake reset button down here. That basically releases the auto brakes.
Yep.
And then I just did a hot start. We're taxiing off the runway.
So obviously in the real world, passengers would have landed,
They would
opened
exit.
the doors, waiting for assistance, and it would be emergency personnel that would come to the airplane, do the
Exactly.
brake release to be able to tow it off the runway.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a placard right here that gives directions to emergency personnel of what
Okay.
to do and how to release the brakes.
Okay, so here we are, back essentially the same place we started. Are we calling that a fully successful Cirrus SR Series Emergency Autoland demonstration?
Absolutely. We demonstrated the entire sequence of the Safe Return activation.
And I got to say, as the guy riding along and being very new to experiencing the system, I know you are doing a bunch of these demos, but this is really just the second time I've seen this, honestly. I'm just amazed by how controlled the whole thing is. It's very predictable. You know, it joins onto final, makes some adjustments on the way down. The flaps come in where you'd expect them to. And even on a pretty turbulent day down here in Alabama, we were bouncing around a good amount. It's just constantly adjusting, making those fine, adjustments that you'd kind of expect a pilot to make.
Yep.
And then over the numbers and the flare experience was sort of, again, what I would expect. The touchdown was flat, but it wasn't totally flat. It was still on the mains. We were a little to the right of center line, but as soon as we touched down, there was an immediate adjustment that came back to center line. Braking was normal, and there we were.
Yeah.
Pretty incredible.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Ivy, thank you very much for the demonstration, and thank you for riding along and getting at least a little bit of a vicarious experience for what you and or your passengers could expect in the very rare case you need to use Safe Return Emergency Autoland.
Yep.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah.